We'll just share the screen. This chapter is quite simple. So Daksha not only cursed Lord Shiva, but he is also cursing Narad Muni. That cursing nature is still there within him. Okay. Let me just share the screen. Right. Excellent. Okay. Meena Mataji, we can begin with you as well because you open your camera. You are the only one who open camera, so I can see you easily.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Chapter 5.
Yeah, chapter 5. And we will read first 22 verses.
Okay. Narad Muni cursed by Prajapati Daksha. Text 1. Srila Sukhdev Goswami continued. Impelled by the illusory energy of Lord Vishnu, Prajapati Daksha begot 10,000 sons in the womb of Panyachajani, Asikne.
Panchajani.
Panchajani. Thank you.
Yeah, Panchajani.
My dear king, these sons were called the Haryashvas. Text 2. My dear king, all the sons of Prajapati Daksha were alike in being very gentle and obedient to the orders of their father. When their father ordered them to beget children, they all went in the western direction. Text 3. In the west, where the river Sindhu meets the sea, there is a great place of pilgrimage known as Narayan Saras. Many sages and others advanced in spiritual consciousness lived there. Text 4 and 5. In that holy place, the Haryashvas began regularly touching the lake's waters and bathing in them. Gradually becoming very much purified, they became inclined toward the activities of Paramhamsas. Nevertheless, because their father had ordered them to increase the population, they performed severe austerities to fulfill his desires. One day, when the great sage Narad saw those boys performing such fine austerities to increase the population, Narad approached them. Text 6 to 8. The great sage Narad said, My dear Haryashvas, you have not seen the extremities of the earth. There is a kingdom where only one man lives and where there is a hole from which, having entered, no one emerges. A woman there who is extremely unchaste adorns herself with various attractive dresses, and the man who lives there is her husband. In that kingdom, there is a river flowing in both directions, a wonderful home made of 25 materials, a swarm that vibrates various sounds, and an automatically revolving object made of sharp razors and thunderbolts. You have not seen all this, and therefore you are inexperienced boys without advanced knowledge. How then will you create progeny? Text 9. Alas, your father is omniscient, but you do not know his actual order. Without knowing the actual purpose of your father, how will you create progeny? Text 10. Sukhdev Goswami said, hearing these enigmatic words of Narad Muni, the Haryashvas considered them with their natural intelligence without help from others. Text 11. The Haryashvas understood the meaning of Narad's words as follows. The word Bhu, the earth, refers to the field of activities. The material body, which is the result of the living being's actions, is this field of activities, and it gives him false designations. Since time immemorial, he has received various types of material bodies, which are the roots of bondage to the material world. If one foolishly engages in temporary fruitive activities and does not look toward the cessation of this bondage, what will be the benefit of his actions? Text 12. Narad Muni had said that there is a kingdom where there is only one male. The Haryashvas realized the purport of this statement. The only enjoyer is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who observes everything everywhere. He is full of six opulences and fully independent of everyone else. He is never subject to the three modes of material nature, for he is always transcendental to this material creation. If the members of human society do not understand him, the Supreme, through their advancement, do not understand him, the Supreme, through their advancement in knowledge and activities, but simply work very hard like cats and dogs all day and night for temporary happiness, what will be the benefit of their activities? Text 13. Narad Muni had described that there is a villa or hole from which, having entered, one does not return. The Haryashvas understood the meaning of this allegory. Hardly once has a person who has entered the lower planetary system called Patala has seen to return. Similarly, if one enters the Vaikuntha Dhama, Pratyak Dhama, he does not return to this material world. If there is such a place from which, having gone, one does not return to the miserable material condition of life, what is the use of jumping like monkeys in the temporary material world and not seeing or understanding that place? What will be the profit? Text 14. Narad Muni had described a woman who was a professional prostitute. The Haryashvas understood the identity of this woman. Mixed with a mode of passion, the unsteady intelligence of every living entity is like a prostitute who changes dresses just to attract one's attention. If one fully engages in temporary fruitive activities, not understanding how this is taking place, what does he actually gain? Text 15. Narad Muni had also spoken of a man who was the husband of the prostitute. The Haryashvas understood this as follows. If one becomes the husband of a prostitute, he loses all independence. Similarly, if a living entity has polluted intelligence, he prolongs his materialistic life. Frustrated by material nature, he must follow the movements of the intelligence, which brings various conditions of happiness and distress. If one performs fruitive activities under such conditions, what will be the benefit? Text 16. Narad Muni had said that there is a river flowing in both directions. The Haryashvas understood the purport of this statement. Material nature functions in two ways, by creation and dissolution. Thus, the river of material nature flows both ways. A living entity who unknowingly falls in this river submerged in its waves, and since the current is swifter near the banks of the river, he is unable to get out. What will be the benefit of performing fruitive activities in that river of Maya? Text 17. Narad Muni had said that there is a house made of 25 elements. The Haryashvas understood this analogy. The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of the 25 elements, and as the Supreme Being, the conductor of cause and effect, he causes their manifestation. If one engages in temporary fruitive activities, not knowing that Supreme Person, what benefit will he derive? Text 18. Narad Muni had spoken of a swan. That swan is explained in this verse. The Vedic literatures, Shastras, vividly describe how to understand the Supreme Lord, the source of all material and spiritual energy. Indeed, they elaborately explain these two energies. The swan, Hamsa, is one who discriminates between matter and spirit, who accepts the essence of everything and who explains the means of bondage and the means of liberation. The words of scriptures consist of variegated vibrations. If a foolish rascal leaves aside the study of these shastras to engage in temporary activities, what will be the result? Text 19. Narad Muni had spoken of a physical object made of sharp blades and thunderbolts. The Haryashvas understood this allegory as follows. Eternal time moves very sharply, as if made of razors and thunderbolts. Uninterrupted and fully independent, it drives the activities of the entire world. If one does not try to study the eternal element of time, what benefit can he derive from performing temporary material activities? Text 20. Narad Muni had asked how one could ignorantly defy one's own father. The Haryashvas understood the meaning of this question. One must accept the original instructions of the Shastras, of the Shastra. According to Vedic civilization, one is offered a sacred thread as a sign of second birth. One takes his second birth by dint of having received instructions in the Shastra from a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, Shastra scripture is the real father. All the Shastras instruct that one should end his material way of life. If one does not know the purpose of the father's orders, the Shastras, he is ignorant. The words of a material father who endeavors to engage his son in material activities are not the real instructions of the father. It's 21. Shukdev Goswami continued, My dear king, after hearing the instructions of Narad, the Haryashvas, the sons of Prajapati Daksha were firmly convinced. They all believed in his instructions and reached the same conclusion. Having accepted him as their spiritual master, they circumambulated that great sage and followed the path by which one never returns to this world. Text 22. The 7 musical notes Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, and Ni are used in musical instruments, but originally they come from the Samaveda. The great sage Narad vibrates sounds describing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. By such transcendental vibrations, such as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, he fixes his mind at the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus, he directly perceives Rishikesha, the master of the senses. After delivering the Haryashvas, Narad Muni continued traveling throughout the planetary systems, his mind always fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Okay, so here is another allegory given by Narada Muni. If you read in the 4th canto, if you remember well, Narada Muni had described allegorical story to Prachina Barhi, means basically grandfather of Daksha. Daksha's parents were Prachetas, and Pracheta's father was Prachina Barhi. So to Prachina Barhi, and Narad Muni had described the allegorical story. And here also is giving another allegory to sons of Daksha. In the previous chapter, we had seen Daksha went and performed austerities for several thousands of years, and he saw Lord Vishnu face to face, and Lord, requested him to marry daughter of Panchajana. Her name is Panchajani, and she's also known as Asikni, and beget children in her home. So in this chapter, we can see that Daksha, Prajapati Daksha. So he begot 10,000 children in the womb of Asigni, because she is the daughter of Panchajana, King Panchajana. She is called Panchajani. So he begot 10,000 sons. They are collectively named as Aryashvas. Aryashvas, because they had similar mentality, similar, they possess similar characteristics, qualities. So Daksha asked, they were very obedient to their father, and Daksha asked them to beget children, and and advised actually before begetting children to go and perform some austerity, control the senses and mind. So they went to the bank of river Sindhu, where it meets the sea ocean. There is a place called Narayana Saras. So many sages and other advanced spiritualists gathered there. They went there and they started to perform austerities there, practicing their penance and devotion. Mm. Um, so they, by regularly bathing, by taking the association of other devotees, so they became, gradually very much purified, and they came to the stage of Paramahamsa. Paramahamsa means actually elevated personalities. uh, However, their father Daksha asked them to increase the population. Um, mm, but what did Narad do? Narad, he went there and Daksha's um, Daksha's plan, Daksha's order means their father's order was to get married and increase the population. But here, Narada Muni, so he decided actually these Haryashvas are very elevated. Why should they enter into family life? I'll make them brahmacharis, celibate monks. You know, um, and thinking like this. Of course, if you see in the temple also, different people have different services. um, Kitchen department want to spend, the finance department wants to save, or the festival team, they wants to spend, and the finance team again want to cut the budget, save some money. So there is, everybody has their own services. Narada Muni, so being a brahmachari, so he wanted to convert them into brahmacharis. Mm. So then he described this allegorical story, and here, if you see in the past when he had described the allegorical story to um, Prachina Bari, he had to explain the meaning to it. uh, but here he just told a story. uh, uh, but the Haryashvas are so intelligent, they could understand the meaning immediately. Narada Muni did not explain the details of it, the hidden meaning to this allegory. uh. So, what is this? Here he says, my dear Aryashwas, you have not seen the extremities of the earth. Hmm? What does it mean, extremities of the earth? Means earth refers to your material body. That's what our Aryashwas understood. Hmm? So the material body's extremities, they have not seen it. You have not seen the extremities of this material body. And then he says, there is a kingdom where only one man lives, and where there is a hole from which, having entered, no one emerges. So, who is that one man? That one man is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hmm? Uh, this kingdom, oh, sorry. So, yeah, this kingdom is the um, yeah, this kingdom is the universe, you can say, and that one man is the Supreme Lord. And the whole refers to, like, coming into this material world or going away from this material world to Lord Vishnu. Mm. So if you come here into this material world, then you are stuck here, and then it's very, very difficult to get out of it. Or once you go to Vaikuntha, then you will not come back. So whole is, you can say, either this coming down to this material world or going to Vaikuntha. And yes, and a woman there who is extremely unchaste. So this unchaste woman represents our unsteady intelligence, polluted intelligence. We have seen this also in the story of in you know in the narration to Prachina Barshi. Uh, um, so this unsteady intelligence, polluted intelligence, yeah, represents this prostitute or unchaste woman. Uh, uh, and the man who lives there is her husband. So the jiva is her husband. So every yeah, this also mentioned in that allegory. Yes, jiva represents here. Every jiva represents man, and her husband, and wife is polluted intelligence. Polluted intelligence is never satisfied, always misguides, always misguides. Mm. And there is a river flowing there, that is the Maya. It flows in both direction, this river. Yeah, that means creation and destruction, creation and destruction, and birth and death. These are the two rivers that flows here continuously. Mm. And there is a house made up of 25 elements. And it is said that Supreme Lord is the reservoir of these 25 elements, and who controls them in and causes their manifestation. This material world is made up of around 24, 25 elements. Hmm? If you see, analyze them. Hmm? And also, what did he mention? A swan that vibrates various sounds. Hmm? What does it swan? Shastras represents. Shastras are saintly people. They are represents the swan. A speaking swan that vibrates various sounds. Okay. Shastras and saintly people, they represent the swan. And hmm, um, and what else it's mentioned? There is a, yeah, let me see what else. And an automatically revolting object made up of sharp razor and thunderbolt. So there is an object, it's revolving, hmm, made up of sharp razors and thunderbolts. So this represents the time. Nobody can stop it. When time comes, we have to leave this world. Time will, you know, um, make so many changes in us. We are safe today, but we may not be safe tomorrow. Uh, and we are here tomorrow. We may not be there in due course. Mm. So this is time factor. You have not seen all this, and therefore you are inexperienced boys. Mm. Without advanced knowledge, how then will you create progeny? So this is how Narada Muni kind of put some fire in them. Um, so um, they were supposed to get married and beget children, but Narada Muni saying this, basically he said here there are so many obstacles in this material world. Don't enter into family life. Better try to get out by following the process of Paramahamsa or becoming brahmacharis. And what did they do? After hearing the instructions of Narada, the sons of Daksha, Aryashvas, they firmly convinced that they all believed in his instructions and reached the same conclusion. And they've accepted him as their spiritual master. They circumambulated, 10,000 people circumambulating Narada Muni, just imagine. And followed the path by which one never returns to this material world. So maybe we can read a little bit of this purport I've been explaining. Meena Mataji, you have read this. Maybe you can read the purport. I'm sharing the screen. Can you see my screen? I can't hear you.
Yes, yeah. Prabhuji.
Yeah, please read the purport.
Okay. From this verse, we can understand the meaning of initiation and the duties of a disciple and spiritual master. The spiritual master never instructs his disciple, take a mantra from me, pay me some money, and by practicing this yoga system, you will become very expert in materialistic life. This is not the duty of a spiritual master. Rather, the spiritual master teaches a disciple how to give up materialistic life, and the disciple's duty is to assimilate his instructions and ultimately follow the path back home, back to Godhead, from whence no one returns to this material world. After hearing the instructions of Narad Muni, the Haryashvas, the sons of Prajapati Daksha, decided not to be entangled in materialistic life by begetting hundreds of children and having to take care of them. This would have been unnecessarily entangling. The Haryashvas did not consider pious and impious activities. Their materialistic father had instructed them to increase the population, but because of the words of Narad Muni, they could not heed that instruction. Narad Muni, as their spiritual master, gave them the Shastric instructions that they should give up this material world, and as bona fide disciples, they followed his instructions. One should not endeavor to wander to different planetary systems within this universe, for even if one goes to the topmost planetary system, Brahmalok, one must return again. Shne Punyam Martya Lokam Vishanti. The endeavors of karmis are a useless waste of time. One should endeavor to return home back to Godhead. This is the perfection of life, as the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 8.16.
Yeah, you can read the translation.
From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
Thank you very much, Mataji. A wonderful purport by Prabhupada. He highlights, what is the quality of a spiritual master. He will never say that take this mantra, you will become very expert in materialistic life. Rather, spiritual master teaches the disciple how to give up the materialistic life. And the disciple duty is also to assimilate that instruction and follow the path set forth by spiritual master. And here wonderful examples of best example of spiritual master and the best example of disciple, Narada Muni and Aryashvas. So their materialistic father instructed them to increase population, but Narad, said that they better should give up the material world and follow, the path of celibacy and go back to Godhead. Okay, so and then Narada Muni So after this, he left that place, singing, the holy names of the Lord, singing on his veena. He left that place glorifying Lord Krishna. He always glorifies. So next, Bhuneshwar Radha Mataji, can you please read from 23 till 35, please?
Hare Krishna, yes. Text 23. The Haryasvas, the sons of Prajapati Daksh, were very well behaved, cultured sons. But unfortunately, because of the instructions of Narad Muni, they deviated from the order of their father. When Daksha heard this news, which was brought to him by Narad Muni, he began to lament. Although he was the father of such good sons, he had lost them all. Certainly, this was lamentable. Text 24. When Prajapati Daksh was lamenting for his lost children, Lord Brahma pacified him with instructions. And thereafter, Daksh begot 1,000 more children in the womb of his wife, Panchajanni. This time, his sons were known as Savalasvas. In accordance, text 25, in accordance with the father's order to beget children, the second group of sons also went to Narayan Saras, the same place where their brothers had previously attained perfection by following the instructions of Narad. Undertaking great vows of austerity, the Savalasvas remained at that holy place. Text 26. At Narayan Saras, the second group of sons performed penances in the same way as the first. They bathed in the holy water, and by its touch, all the dirty material desires in their hearts were cleansed away. They murmured mantras beginning with Omkar and underwent a severe course of austerities. Text 27 to 28. For a few months, the sons of Prajapati Daksh drank only water and ate only air. Thus, undergoing great austerities, they recited this mantra. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always situated in his transcendental abode. Since he is the Supreme Person, Paramahans, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto him. Text 29. O King Parikshit, Narad Muni approached his sons of Prajapati Daksh, who were engaged in tapasya to beget children, and spoke enigmatic words to them, just as he had spoken to the elder brothers. Text 30. O sons of Daksha, please hear my words of instruction attentively. You are all very affectionate to your elder brothers, the Haryasvas. Therefore, you should follow their path. Text 31. A brother aware of the principles of religion follows in the footsteps of his elder brothers. Because of being highly elevated, such a pious brother gets the opportunity to associate and enjoy with demigods like the Maruts, who are all affectionate to their brothers. Text 32. Sukdev Goswami continued, O best of the advanced Aryans, after saying this much to the sons of Prajapati Daksh, Narad Muni, whose merciful glance never goes in vain, left as he had planned. The sons of Daksha followed their elder brothers. Not attempting to produce children, they engaged themselves in Krishna consciousness. Text 33. The Savalasvas took to the correct path, which is obtainable by a mode of life meant to achieve devotional service or the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like knights that have gone to the west, they have not returned even until now. Text 34. At this time, Prajapati Daksh observed many inauspicious signs, and he heard from various sources that his second group of sons, the Savalasvas, had followed the path of their elder brothers in accordance with the instructions of Narad. Text 35. When he heard that the Savalasvas had also left this world to engage in devotional service, Daksh was angry at Narad, and he almost fainted due to lamentation. When Daksh met Narad, Daksh's lips began trembling in anger, and he spoke as follows. Text 36.
Thank you, Mataji. That is the next section.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So this chapter is really simple, basically. So as you can see, Daksha lamented after hearing, we got 10,000 sons in the womb of Panchajani, and her name is Asikni. and he ordered them to beget children and increase the population. But the system is that before entering into family life, one should be trained properly. So he actually ordered them to go to this Narayana Saras on the bank of River Sindhu, and take the association of devotees, perform austerities, and increase their sense and mind control, advance spiritually. But Narada Muni met them and liberated them. So they did not return home. Just imagine, they went out and they never returned. So that caused much, grief to Daksha when he heard this. But Brahmaji said, "Don't worry, beget more children." So he begot another 1,000 um, sons in the womb of same wife, Asitni. And this time, this group of sons are known as Savalashvas. And so Daksha again asked this second group of sons also, go and perform penances at Narayanasara, same place. Why did he do that? That was the Vedic system. Vedic culture is that training in spirituality is very important. So thus, Daksha, being a dutiful father, did not hesitate to send his second group of sons to the same place where his previous sons had met Narada Muni and attained perfection. So, and so they went there again, for a few months. They drank just water and they uttered this particular mantra. Here it is mentioned. The mantra is given here. Om Namo Narayanaya Purushaya Mahatmane Vishuddha Vishuddha Sattva Vishnyaya Mahahamsaya Dhimahi. So if you keep chanting, you might see Narada Muni. Don't worry, just chant Hare Krishna mantra. So they uttered this particular mantra, and so and they met again. Narad approached them, and again he tricked them. They're saying, "Oh, actually, the younger brother job is to follow the older brother. If older brother is a saintly person, the younger brother should follow. Your elder brothers, Aryashvas, 10,000 brothers, they did not enter into Grihastha household life. They left. You should follow. You will get all the benefit. Just by following it, you will achieve perfection." Um, so after saying this, they also, they never came back again. So the second sons of Daksha, Sevalasvas, followed their elder brothers, not attempting to produce children. They engaged themselves in Krishna consciousness. So this batch also gone. So in two goes, Narada Muni made 11,000 brahmacharis. Wonderful service. And Narada Muni could have gone from that place, after transforming them in that way, he could have gone that place, but he came to Daksha and he wanted to inform this. And let's see how, Daksha, when he heard, again, he almost fainted due to lamentation. And when he met Narad, Daksha's lips began trembling in anger, and he spoke as follows. So, who would like to read the last section? Purnamataji, you can read the last section, and if there are any comments, we will discuss at the end.
Sure. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I just had a
36.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on.
You can
You
read
go
it.
on.
Should I ask? Okay. So is Narayan Saras the same as Narayan Sarovar?
No, Prabhupada writes here. I can find out here. You can see here. Say, went to a place where river Sindhu, now Indus, meets Arabian Sea. So in those days, this was the site of a holy lake named Narayan Saras. So that is what is mentioned. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know where the present day Narayan Sarovar is. So I don't know.
I'll try and look into it actually, where that Sindhu river meets Arabian Sea. I'll try and dig into it later on.
Yeah, no problem.
36, right? 36, yeah.
Text 36. Prajapati Daksh said, Alas, Narad Muni, you wear the dress of a saintly person, but you are not actually a saint. Indeed, although I am now in Grahastha life, I am a saintly person. By showing my sons the path of renunciation, you have done me an abominable injustice. Text 37. Prajapati Daksh said, My sons were not at all freed from their 3 deaths. Indeed, they did not properly consider the obligations. O Narad Muni, O personality of sinful action, you have obstructed their progress toward.
You are breaking up. We can't hear you at all. Hare Krishna, can you hear me? Other devotees?
Yes, Prabhuji.
I think we are lost, isn't it? Are you able to hear Purna Mataji?
No.
No.
Okay. Let's see if she's still there. Yes, Mataji is there. She's on mute. She's not on mute. Okay, Arya, would you like to read then?
Yes, Prabhuji. My sons were not at all freed from their 3 debts. Indeed, they did not properly
Can you
consider.
hear me now?
You're back. Okay. Now we can hear you.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I still cannot hear you.
Is it? Okay. Am I audible to other devotees?
1 second.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so Purnama, we can hear you. I don't know. Maybe we can put it in chat. Yeah, can somebody put it in chat that we can hear? To Purnamataji, she can read, continue to read.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I cannot hear you. Please, if you hear me, you can ask somebody else to continue. Apologies for this disturbance. Oh, okay. Okay, Arya messaged that. Okay, thank you, Arya. Hare Krishna, I'll read, yeah. So, Prajapati Daksh said, My sons were not at all freed from their three debts. Indeed, they did not properly consider their obligations. O Narad Muni, O personality of sinful action, you have obstructed their progress toward good fortune in this world and the next because they are still indebted to the saintly persons, the demigods and the Father. Text 38. Prajapati Daksh continued, thus committing violence against other living entities and yet claiming to be an associate of Lord Vishnu, you are defaming the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You needlessly created a mentality of renunciation in innocent boys, and therefore you are shameless and devoid of compassion. How could you travel with the personal associates of the Supreme Lord? Text 39. All the devotees of the Lord, but you, are very kind of the conditioned souls and are eager to benefit others. Although you wear the dress of a devotee, you create enmity with people who are not your enemies, or you break friendship and create enmity between friends. Are you not ashamed of posing as a devotee while performing these abominable actions? Text 40. Prajapati Daksh continued, if you think that simply awakening the sense of renunciation will detach one from the material world, I must say that unless full knowledge is awakened, simply changing dresses as you have done cannot possibly bring detachment. Text 41. Material enjoyment is indeed the cause of all unhappiness, but one cannot give it up unless one has personally experienced how much suffering it is. Therefore, one should be allowed to remain in so-called material enjoyment while simultaneously advancing in knowledge to experience the misery of this false material happiness. Then, without help from others, one will find material enjoyment detestful. Those whose minds are changed by others do not become as renounced as those who have personal experience. Text 42. Although I live in household life with my wife and children, I honestly follow the Vedic injunctions by engaging in fruitive activities to enjoy life without sinful reactions. I have performed all kinds of yagnas, including the Deva Yagna, Rishi Yagna, Pitra Yagna, and Nara Yagna. Because these yagnas are called vratas or vows, I am known as a Grahavrata. Unfortunately, you have given me great displeasure by misguiding my sons for no reason to the path of renunciation. This can be tolerated once. Text 43. You have made me lose my sons once, and now you have again done the same inauspicious thing. Therefore, you are a rascal who does not know how to behave toward others. You may travel all over the universe, but I curse you to have no residence anywhere. Text 44. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued, my dear king, since Narad Muni is an approved saintly person, when cursed by Prajapati Daksh, he replied, Tat badham. Yes, what you have said is good. I accept this curse. He could have cursed Prajapati Daksh in return, but because he is a tolerant and merciful sadhu, he took no action.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
So, not easy. Preaching is not easy. Prabhupada writes so much in this section about preaching. So, Daksha blasphemes and curses Narada Muni. Daksha's criticism toward Narada Muni gives many lessons for how, advocates of Krishna consciousness must tolerate opposition. So when we preach, there will be opposition. We must tolerate. So what did he say, Daksha? He said, you are not a saintly person. You are a sadhu. You are wearing a dress of sadhu, saintly person, but you are a sadhu. You have instructed my inexperienced sons to follow the path of renunciation. And then he says, it's very severe. You are sin personified. My sons are not yet freed from debts to their parents, ancestors, and other people. You asked them to follow the path of renunciation. You devoid compassion and shameless. This is not a service, actually. Defaming the Supreme Lord. You are defaming the Supreme Lord and his associates, and you break the friendship of the people, and you create enmity among people. And so this way, Daksha criticizes and blasphemes Narada Muni. But Narada Muni was patiently hearing. Daksha said, you did this to me twice. First time, I didn't say anything to you. First batch of my sons, they followed the path of renunciation. But you did the same again. So you may be forgiven once, but this is the second time. And then saying this curse. What is the curse? you will not have any residence. Grihasthas, householders want a nice residence. Actually, I was telling Lalita Preeti also, what is this curse? But Grihastha, for a householder, the curse is, the boon is that, living in an opulent house. So Daksha, being, very hardcore into household life, he said, you will not have a permanent residence, means you will not have a house, you will travel all the time. But this is not a curse, this is a boon for a preacher. Preacher always travels. This is actually a boon for Narad. And so what did it say at the end? Narad kept quiet. Narad kept quiet. And so we'll read these two purports. We have 4 to 5 minutes. I will read the purports so we can extract so many wonderful lessons from this. So who would like to read the purport to text 43? Arya, are you able to read? Okay, go on, Arya. We can't hear you.
You have sorry, just saw it now. Because Prajapati Daksha was a Grihameti who wanted to remain in household life, he thought that if Narada Muni could not remain in one place but had to travel all over the world, that would be a great punishment for him. Actually, however, such a punishment is a boon for a preacher. A preacher is known as Parivraja
Acharya. Parivrajaka Acharya.
An acharya or teacher who always travels for the benefit of human society. Prajapati Daksha cursed Narada Muni by saying that although he had the facility to travel all over the universe, he would never be able to stay in one place. In the Parampara system from Narada Muni, I have also been cursed. Although I have many centers that would be suitable places of residence, I cannot stay anywhere, for I have been cursed by the parents of my young disciples. Since the Krishna consciousness movement was started, I have traveled all over the world 2 or 3 times a year, and although I am provided comfortable places to stay wherever I go, I cannot stay anywhere for more than 3 days or a week. I do not mind this curse by the parents of my disciples, but now it is necessary that I stay in one place to finish another task, this translation of Srimad Bhagavatam. If my young disciples, especially those who have taken sannyasa, take charge of traveling all over the world, it may be possible for me to transfer the curse of the parents to these young preachers. Then I may sit down conveniently in one place for the work of translation.
Thank you very much. So Prabhupada here says that it actually is a boon for a preacher. And Prabhupada says that, I am also, I've been cursed by the parents of my young disciples. I also can't stay in one place. So Prabhupada is saying that, if they take the, if he can transfer that curse to his disciples, if they can travel, he can do the Bhagavatam writing, complete the mission. Okay, so here the next verse says that although Narada Muni was cursed by Daksha, he kept quiet. He could have cursed, but he did not. So read this purport also, Arya Devi.
The symptoms of a sadhu are that he is tolerant, merciful, and friendly to all living entities. He has no enemies, he is peaceful, he abides by the scriptures, and all his characteristics are sublime. Because Narada Muni is the most elevated of sadhus, devotees, to deliver Prajapati Daksha, he silently tolerated the curse. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught this principle to all his devotees. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Following the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one who preaches the glories of the Lord all over the world or all over the universe should be humbler than grass and more tolerant than a tree, because a preacher cannot live an easygoing life. Indeed, a preacher must face many impediments. Not only is he sometimes cursed, but sometimes he must also suffer personal injury. For roguish brothers Jaga and Madai, they injured him and made his head bleed. But nevertheless, he tolerantly delivered the two rogues, who became perfect Vaishnavas. This is the duty of a preacher. Lord Jesus Christ even tolerated crucifixion. Therefore, the curse against Narada was not very astonishing, and he tolerated it. Now, it may be asked why Narada Muni stayed in the presence of Prajapati Daksha and tolerated all his accusations and curses. Was that for Daksha's deliverance? The answer is yes. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that after being insulted by Prajapati Daksha, Narada Muni should have left immediately, but he purposely stayed to hear all Daksha's strong words so that Daksha might be relieved of his anger. Prajapati Daksha was not an ordinary man. He had accumulated the results of many pious activities. Therefore, Narada Muni expected that after delivering his curse, Daksha, satisfied and freed from anger, would repent his misbehavior and thus get a chance to become a Vaishnava and be delivered. When Jagai and Madai offered offended Lord Nityananda stood tolerantly, and therefore both brothers fell at his lotus feet and repented. Consequently, they later became perfect Vaishnavas.
Very much. So, important points from this purport is that preacher definitely needs to have a lot of patience. Goes through encounters several challenges when you preach, and this tolerance is very important. So when we preach, we come to know it's not that easy. So Prabhupada is advising everybody should be, patient and tolerant when preaching. Narada Muni kept quiet, although he was, very advanced. He just kept quiet. And secondly, why did he, why didn't he leave from that place while he was, while Daksha was blaspheming him? So the answer here Prabhupada gives that, he wanted Daksha to vent out his anger. Obviously there is pain for Daksha. Narada Muni understands that, two groups of his sons, 11,000 sons became brahmacharis. Not easy, isn't it? Yeah, not easy to digest. So he said, okay, whatever he wants to do, let him do that, then let him vent out his anger. So then, later he becomes pacified, and eventually will be delivered by the Lord. Okay, the summary is simple. So Daksha begot initially 10,000 children in the womb of Panchajani, Asikni. They are collectively known as what is that?
Haryashvas.
Yes, Aryashvas. And they were ordered by their father to go and meditate at Narayan Saras, but Narada Muni came there and made them into brahmacharis, asked them to follow the path of renunciation, and he again begot another 1,000 sons. They are collectively known as Sevalasvas, and they were also they were transformed by Narada Muni. They also followed the path of their brothers Haryashvas. So Narada Muni came to inform this good news to Daksha, the father, and he was very upset, and so he basically cursed Narada Muni. Narada Muni, however, was very patient and tolerant, and as a preacher, we have to do this. Yeah, different devotees have different services, as I mentioned. I know one department. Daksha was also serving the Supreme Lord. Narad was also serving the Supreme Lord. Sometimes there is some competition. So that is how it works, unfortunately. Okay, so allowed to stop there. Thank you very much. Anything anybody wants to add? Okay, Arya Devi.
I was just going to say, I like the point that you made of how Narada Muni, how he let Daksha vent his anger, because at the end of the day, he didn't have any like you said, they all have their individual services, but even with they don't have any personal motivations. The only because he's so elevated, his only will is to bring someone closer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and make them a Vaishnava. So there's no thought of me and myself. It was just, okay, let me take the curse, anything to make somebody else a Vaishnava as well. It's nice.
Good. Thank you. Okay, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo vachapati tanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.